start again. It's a rage thing.
In this session, we are going to learn about file handling in Python. So we have created programs in Python that accept the input, manipulate it, and it will display the output. But that output is available only during the execution of that particular program. And input is to be entered through the keyboard. This is because the variables used in the program have a lifetime that is valid till the time of program is under execution. So what if we want to store the data that were input as well as the generated output permanently? So in this type of scenario, we can use file handling in Python. A file is basically a named location on a secondary storage. In Python, we can handle a text file as well as a binary file also. Binary file means your image or audio, etc. In this file handling, basically we can do the CRUD operation. CRUD means create a file, we can create a new file, we can read the data from that particular file, or we can update the data in that file, or also we can delete data. So these are the operations that we can perform by using this file handling concept. So let's do it practically. So first of all, we need to create a txt file. Although it is not a mandatory step, we can also create a new file by using some Python code, but we will see that later. But first of all, let me create a text file. So let me open first Notepad, and then let me put some text here like file handling in Python, like this, and then let me save it, file, and save it. So I'm going to save it here in local disk D, and then file handling here. So let me save it here as example.txt. So after creating a txt file, the next step is to open that particular file. To open a file, we need to use this open function. Open is an inbuilt function, so and it will return a file object. So let me store it here, file, and then this parenthesis, within this parenthesis we need to pass the location where I have stored the txt file. So I have stored it in D drive, so D, then file handling, and then the text file name. And then we need to pass the mode, in which mode we want to open that particular file. I will discuss about it, but for now just let me pass here R. R stands for read. So this file will be opened in read only mode. So we can just only read that particular file. We can't write in that particular file. Then we need to write file dot read like this, and then let me just print the text that is there in the text file. So let me just print that data, and then after doing all the operations, we need to close that particular file so that it frees up the memory that is occupied by that particular file. So let me just write file dot close. So if I run it, so here note that it is showing the text that is there in the text file, that is example.txt. So here open is the inbuilt function which is used to open a particular file, and this function will return a file object, and we need to store it in a variable, and then we need to use that file object to close that particular file. If I want to read the data from that particular file, so we need to use that object reference, that is file, and also we need to use the inbuilt method that is nothing but read. So this is how we can read the file. And also if you want to read the first 5 bytes or first 5 character from that particular file, then you can specify that number like 5. So if I write here 5, then it will just print the 5 characters from that file, first 5 character basically. So let me run this code. So here note that it is showing FILE, and then there is a space, so it is showing this total 5 character like this. So related to this read operation, we have another two methods, that are readline and another one is readlines. So let's start with readline. Readline method reads one complete line from a file where each line terminates with a new line. So for example, in our txt file we have text like this. So if I use readline, then it will read from here to here, that is from one line, one complete line. So let's do it practically. So here if I write read line, and within parentheses we need not to pass anything for now, and if I press enter, so here note that it is showing from lorem to this point. You can also check it in this, so it is showing this complete line. And next one is you can also print some specific characters, like if you want to print first 2 character or first 5 character, then you need to pass this number within this parenthesis. Like if I write here 4, then it will print first 4 characters from the text like this. So here we have first 4 characters. Now to read entire file line by line using the readline method, we can use the loop. This process is known as looping or iterating over a file object. So first of all we need to use an infinite loop like while and then true, and within this loop we need to use this readline statement. So let me cut it, and if I paste it here, so now this line will print the first line of the text, but I don't want to print it directly. Rather I want to first store it in a variable like line, and then I want to print this variable, that is line, like this. Now you may think why I am doing like this. Actually while is an infinite loop, while true is an infinite loop. So there must be a termination condition, otherwise it will not work properly. So this is our text file, and first of all this readline method will return this first line and then the second line, and after returning this last line it is going to return an empty string, and based on that empty string we need to provide our termination condition. Like after printing this line, it is going to check whether this current line is empty string or not, like this. If it is empty string, then we need to break that loop, this infinite loop. So if I execute this code, so it is showing our expected output like this. Now if I don't write this termination condition, then this infinite loop will continue to print empty spaces like this. So this is all about readline method. Now we will see the working of readlines method. So readline methods read all the lines and return the lines along with the new line as a list of strings. For example, in our text file, so here this readlines method will take this first line as a string and the second line as another string, and then it will return all these strings in a list. So let me do it practically. So if I write, so let me remove all these things. So now if I write print, and within parentheses if I write file dot readlines, so let me execute this code. So here note that this is the list and our first string is the first line like this. This is our first string, and then this is our next line as a next string, so on. So this is how this readlines method works. Now if you want to print the first line of the text file, then you need to first store it in a variable like L, and because these readlines will return a list, and then you need to use the indexing concept to print the first line, that is you need to write print and then L of 0, so it will print the first line. So let me run this code. So here note that it is showing the first line. So this is how we can use this readline method.